Okay, hold 1 minute, please. Okay, we're going to talk about quite a few things. Greetings, everyone. This is Staying in the Light. Milton Percy Smith III here. And this is a continuous series. We talk about a lot of things here and appreciate those who stop by. Because I may be slow in the delivery, but powerful in the ideas presented. So if you got the patience, you receive the product. I listen to a lot of things, and especially these college courses at MIT and Yale. And we talk about people being in a sick, people being sick because they have what you call it? What's the word? Psychological disorder, psychosis. Yeah, people have a psychosis, and a lot of that comes from being miseducated. And I listen to these instructors. Man, I don't know if they know or they just outright don't know and lying. But I do my research, and I don't like to call people out unless they really, really lying, getting people making people ill, really. Because when you lie about history, you can make someone mentally ill. What are you talking about? Talking about people who not knowing who they are. That's a psychosis. Okay, let me elaborate. It was in the 1770s when slavery was abolished. White slavery. Black slavery started about 1774 when they started putting titles of labors of slavery on the people who was Moors. They gave them titles like black, Negro, colored. They had this Negro Act. Now, where did they get this Negro Act from? Well, you can thank the French for that, because it really was the black codes, Code Noir. French was master in enslaving black people. The French was masters. Remember, because they had did this in Africa centuries before. So they knew about enslaving black people. Plus, they was owning quite a bit of America. Most people don't know that. The French came in by way of Canada and owned quite a bit of America. So they had a lot to do with the politics of America. Now, this whole black slavery thing really came to a head. I'm talking to the professors now, because they lying to y'all. I'm talking to these history professors at Yale. I'm telling the true history of what happened. The Fugitive Slave Act, if you do your research, you found that it was the same time you had this one-drop rule. What's the one-drop rule? Well, you had a lot of amalgamated people who looked white, but they was black, according to having that one drop of blood. These were the people escaping. Because with this onslaught against black people, they just had to find a new enemy, you know? They was going after anybody who had that one drop of blood. So a lot of mulattoes, a lot of people who was passing as white, this was the alarm right there. And YouTube, I know you're not gonna let this circulate like you do a lot of my videos, but that's okay. That's okay. You'll sit there and it doesn't matter. Really, it doesn't. Because as I speak it, the truth, the power of the truth is in the universe, in the ether. So you can't destroy it because you didn't create it. So you can say, I'm talking to myself, the truth of myself, and also the truth of those who have truth in them. So that's really what's the root cause of they call it civil war. It really was a war of liberation. It's a war of liberation. Because this was a so-called black country, and the whites was trying to take it back. They trying to, hey, we don't want y'all to rule us. We do not want black folks to rule us. They had a term for it in South Carolina. They called it Tar Heels. We're not going to let black feet be on us. Y'all not going to keep us down. They had enough of that in Europe with the Moors, the ancestors, so they weren't going to put up with it in America. That's why they had to revolt. And one tool that you used was that black fugitive slave laws. They went after everybody. But it wasn't about the black slaves, the white people who had that one drop of blood. You see, because remember now, they had just outlawed white slavery. They were just outlawed white slavery. And these people thought they was free. But here they thought they escaped from being enslaved and being white, and now they was in danger of being enslaved as being black. So they were trying to bring back white slavery. You see what's happening? That's why they had the revolution. They said, no, we're not having no more white slavery. We're going to make it black slavery. So a lot of things lied about in the history books. I was there. In spirit, yeah, I was there. Because when you do so much research and outside reading, you put the puzzle together and you were there. You see what the instructors are not saying. Because if they ignore certain things, that tells what the story is. The very things they ignore is what leads to the truth, which they want to hide from the people. This is why people are sick, mentally ill, psychosis by the lying teachers, especially history. So it's stay in the light here, we correcting that. We're telling you the truth. And that's going to heal you. That's the healing of the nation. Truth heals you, people. Truth heals you. And that's why it's hated, because there's no profit in people being healed. People make money off of sickness and illnesses. That's a business. Sickness is a business. Even in the future, the forum, Freedom Forum, talking about curing somebody of illness is going to be illegal. You hear what I say? Healing is going to be outlawed. They're going to have things in place so you be perpetually medicated for life. They already have it. Anytime doctor tell you got to take something for life, they're saying it's no profit in you being healed. We didn't even think about being healed. Things like diabetics talking about it cannot be healed. You got to take this for the rest of your life. What kind of foolishness is that? Is there a sickness? There got to be a cure. But there's no profit in being cured. You see, that's the point. So let's get back to the slavery. Yes, that's what the war was about. They did not want to bring back white slavery. So they changed it to black slavery. And all the pictures you see during that time is about white slaves, is about black people. But that fugitive slave law was about white people who had been passing. They had that one drop, and they was coming after them. They said, "Oh, we got to take you. We're going to enslave you because you're black." They may have been high, yellow, mulatto, or whatever. But if they wasn't part of the gentry, if they wasn't people with the money, they was making them slaves. That's why they went to war. What about black slavery? Black slavery was the outcome. And it really didn't take force until about 18, let's see, 18, Dred Scott was a decision that legalized, you can say, black slavery, because this case, they had to see everything that starts have to have a case. So Dred Scott didn't just happen to go to court. No, this was done. He was brought to court. This was their case. The people who wanted to create a slave society brought this case just to denationalize him of his moral status. Even if he brought the case, the lawyers are the one who did the dirty work. I don't know if he knew he was a Moor or not, but he probably didn't because of miseducation. So he was, but I can't think of anybody during that time calling himself black and Negro. Remember now, this is 1870s. These are slave titles. Why would you call yourself a Negro and black? Well, the record says that that's what Dred Scott did. He called himself black. And that's what he got outside of the jurisdiction of the Moorish Empire. Well, I'm going to leave it right there. Do your research. And see what you come up with. Okay? Now, I promise you I've done mine. I'm an octogenarian, so I've been around a minute. Okay? And if you live long as you never do research I've done, it's not enough time. It's been presumptions of me, but I'm telling you, you got to study different languages. You got to travel around the world. And some of y'all don't have time to do that, time or resources to do that. So with that, we're going to say adios.